All right, that's about all the time we have. I got to implore upon you, group somersault. Can you do one for me?
Yeah, no problem. I think we can do that, right? That's certainly not as graceful as it could have been. That's why we usually hesitate to do those, but well, it's certainly fun to do.
I got to say, at least you're having some fun up there. You're not going to the Olympics with that. Keep the day jobs, guys, or night jobs on this mission.
Yeah, Miles, and I'll send you one of these bracelets.
I would like one. Thank you to all of you very much. Appreciate your time. I know you got a busy mission ahead. You got the spacewalk ahead. And thanks to all of you.
Houston, are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. We are ready for the event.
CBS News and CNN station. We are now resuming operational audio communications.
Today, National Geographic and augmented reality company Indy are going to expose the International Space Station for us. Both are on the road, showcasing Indy's augmented reality technology to the general public. And as we're about to see, the way the general public interact with the augmented reality items is rather revealing, especially when we look at the second clip from the space station itself. As we're about to see, the general public, when interacting with the items, are looking away from the items they're interacting with. They're having to view it upon a screen, and then based on what they're seeing on the screen, then interact as a result of what they're seeing on the screen. Notice matey boy's here petting something, but again having to look off, looking at the screen to see what he's interacting with. And there we get to see them interacting with a leopard. Of course, mum looking at the screen. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was a great display of augmented reality. But of course, in doing so, what they've done here is expose the space station, as we're about to see. And now we've got a Canadian astronaut on the so-called space station interacting with this honeypot. And just like the general public showed us when they interacted with augmented reality, this astronaut's going to show us that he's interacting with augmented reality by spending most of his time looking beyond the item he's playing with, the honeypot, obviously at a screen, to see the item and gauge where it is better, and in doing so give out a more convincing performance. If you really wanted to be convincing, you would have looked at the item you were playing with all the time. There would be no reason to look beyond the item you're playing with. That is, unless of course you're looking at a screen to gauge and see where it is. So let's have a look at our mate expose himself, the space station, of course with the help of National Geographic and Indy and their augmented reality technology. Take it away, fella. Our so-called astronaut mate here spends most of his time looking at the screen beyond the item he's interacting with, just like the general public did on the roadshow we looked at. I believe this day and age now, these so-called astronauts are able to wear contact lenses now that eliminate the use of the screen, which of course makes it obvious when we look at stuff like we've looked at today, and in doing so makes it a little bit more convincing. But of course there's still plenty of fails. I just thought that was great of National Geographic to show us the techniques which NASA have been using here to fool naive individuals into thinking that there's individuals like this character residing in a space station doing ludicrous speeds around a scientifically impossible ball. Obviously not. See if you can spot the problem.
Can you share, for those who have not been on the International Space Station, how does it impact your view of Earth when you've had that experience? Does it change your view of Earth and your perception of who we are, who live on Earth?
Oh man, that's a great question, and I think it's something that we all share up here. You know, one of the unique perspectives that we have here.
Did you spot it? Spotted it? Good on you. Watch the interaction between Bob's hand and the microphone cable here. I've slowed it down and it's on loop. Bob's hand at points goes straight through that cable. Again, highlighting special effects problems, namely green screens and augmented reality, which these people interact with as well. And as a result, you get things like this. People's hands passing seemingly through cables. Like I say, It's a special effects issue here with NASA and some of the technology they use to get naive individuals to believe in space and the globe. And of course, let's not forget what Bob's already done as far as damage for the ISS and of course the globe by giving the game away as far as where this silly charade takes place. I mean, I like Bob. Not only has he got a hand that seemingly can go through cables and wires, but he likes to give away the location of the International Space Station charade stroke set in which they pretend to be in a weightless environment. Take it away, Bob.
Houston is called Space City because NASA's Johnson Space Center is the home of human spaceflight. We design the missions, train the crews, and orchestrate the flights from right here in Houston. Houston was the first to receive words from the surface of the moon, and the next giant leap will also start right here in Houston.
That's twice. Bob said right here in Houston. Problem is, Bob, you're supposed to be on a space station hurtling around the ball. But you said right there in Houston. I think you were giving away the stage, one of the stages in which this charade takes place. Green screens, harnesses, augmented reality and all the other tosh that gets thrown in, like I say, to convince naive individuals that reality is exactly the opposite to what can be tested and verified by all. But as Bob's quite clearly stated there, he's on the space station, but he's right there in Houston. Nice one, Bob. And let's not forget Bob's talent with his hand having the ability seemingly to go right through cables. You gotta love it when these clowns expose themselves. Thanks, Bob.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. I'm ready.
Mud people, mud people, mud people. Young mother. Head gun. Head gun. Head gun. Head gun. Head gun. And I don't care. Bumpers rolling everywhere. Headless people up in here, so it's trouble in the atmosphere. Head gone and I am proud. You could find me in the crowd. I'm glad I'm not singing loud. Yes, my behavior will make me out. And I don't know what it is do this to me. Johnny Walker, Hennessy or champagne. Boy. No, I really don't know what happened to me. Look at John and start going all inside DJ. On every bump. Head gone and I don't care. Bumpers rolling everywhere. Headless people up in here, so it's trouble in the atmosphere. Head gone and I am proud. You could find me in the crowd. I'm glad I'm not singing loud. Yes, my behavior will make me out. And I don't know what it is do this to me. Johnny Walker, Hennessy or champagne. Boy. No, I really don't know what happened to me. Look at John and start going all inside DJ. On every bumper. And I don't care. Bumpers rolling everywhere.
Houston Station, I am ready for the event. I am ready for the event.
I'm glad I'm not singing loud. Yes, my behavior will make me out. And I don't know what is the
There's talking to his upset. He's very upset. It's actually indicative. Stop thinking. Let's not stop thinking.
Thank you. That concludes our event.
Thank you to all participants from the Navy Talent Acquisition Group, New England Station. We are now resuming operational audio communications. Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. I am ready for the event.
Bye. Bye, Samantha.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you to all participants from ESA.